episode 420.
One.
Didn't work.
Almost.
Welcome back. It's the, I guess, are we all Padres fans now? This is the Padres cast? No.
I certainly am, although I have been, so I don't know that that's like...
That's no change there.
I'm a neutral, want to see good baseball / I would, I guess, prefer Ohtani have a good playoff experience somewhat, considering his penance he did with the Angels.
He's had a great experience. He just is unfortunately losing the games.
As he learned on the
Darvish
Angels,
has got that guy's number, dude.
He got one base hit today, I believe, and didn't get much else besides that. So the Padres pitching seems to have his number also.
Yeah. It was very funny seeing the stats where he's not so great against some of the Padres pitchers and then talking about, he's still kind of a kid. And it's like, oh, I looked up to all these guys. I'm like, oh, man, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those where, like, I don't look forward to having to play against him for the next 10 to 15 years. Him constantly destroy my team.
Yeah. Until someone tries to sell his contract off before the balloon payment. I don't think anyone's going to go for it, but they'll try.
Someone will float the deal, and then some team will be like, unless it's the Yankees, right? Maybe the Yankees would go for it.
No, I can't imagine that. Well, we'll see in 10 years, but I can't imagine that in 15 years that payment is going to be worth the amount of baseball left in that career.
Yeah.
Hard to see it.
It would be. Speaking of people that are older than you think. Speaking of people that are older than you think, because of you, Darvish, and all those other guys, when you're like, oh, though they're my age and we're young, and then wait, this guy's calling them old.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a concert this week. You guys, a concert.
Music, the domain of the youth.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. The lead singer of one of the bands said, I'm 39 and I sure am feeling it tonight.
That's,
Yep.
I mean,
right there with you, buddy.
Yep.
He was remarking that at the venue we were at, there was seats above the floor area. And many people in the seats were just sitting.
Oh, I was just going to ask, are you realizing that you are sit down at a concert years old?
I might be getting close to that, considering how squashed I felt in the floor area. I might be getting close to that, But people that still got it, even if they're feeling it. I'm just saying. Rockers, even in their 30s and 50s, the headline act was 50.
Tom DeLonge was at the Padres game today, actually. I saw. They were showing him on TV.
Notably, one of the people that I have said does not still got it.
Yeah. He was notable for being a celebrity, not like he was performing. He was just at the game. Noted San Diegan, I suppose.
Noted San Diego. We talked multiple times in the past. I will continue until I'm probably grasping at the air as lights flash before my eyes. Enjoy Blink-182 music.
Yeah, I mean those 2 or 3 albums they had were all amazing, right? Like for the time, and still
I will continue to enjoy the 1 or 2 hits Boxcar Racer has off the top of my head.
Sure. Yeah.
Here's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Oh, and I will say that the first album from Angels and Airwaves, a few of those songs are still in my brain as well somehow.
I bet a couple of those songs are still on rotation in one of those Orange County area rock stations. I bet
they will They will rattle around in there, despite being from 2011 or so. But we also notably talked on this podcast after that BlizzCon about how just atrocious Blink-182 was live, and that was over a decade ago now, Jason.
Yeah, I remember. I was there at that concert saying they weren't good.
I will say, though, that Tom DeLonge's contemporaries, I listened to some of them this week, and they've still got it. So don't give up on the punk emo scene in your old age here.
I think the problem is it's really just hard to be punk when you're in your 40s. I think that's just a tough thing to do.
It kind of runs counter to the whole idea.
You know, I wasn't.
When you're the power, it's hard to fight it. You know,
when you are the machine that's being raged against.
Exactly. Yeah. Although Zach De La Rosa is still raging against the machine and doing
true.
well.
I would say that was a bad example there, Michael, because he is notably still raging
and succeeding.
Pissing off many people on the internet who
don't understand lyrics
raging against the machine.
Yeah.
And then
come for the music, stay for the trolling.
Yeah, he pointed out that they were part of the machine and they didn't like it.
People who didn't realize what those songs were actually talking about.
Yeah. So let's put them in the good category. JJ, I wasn't gonna throw out there that we went to see Dashboard Confessional, but what you were saying, which was kind of funny, I think, in one way, was notable to me in a different way, which is that he did stop down for a minute, and I think he is 49 years old, so exactly a contemporary of Blink-182, also pushing 50. But he had very tender moments with the crowd of saying things like, I know we're not 21 anymore, but think back to the things that we did and whatever, and think about the future that you're having with your kids now. A lot of the people there have got kids, and he talked about, how his music and time and all these things are relating to his life now. And that made it a little bit more prescient, I think, for a lot of us in the crowd there, despite being like, yeah, I'm probably not worried about my, 19-year-old relationships that this music was about, but the meaning it's going to have for other people along the way, and the meaning it had then is still important to the way I think about how my kids are going to grow up. Boom.
There you go.
Deep.
Yeah. Anywho, Oreos.
What a transition. Wow. A+.
JJ, it's time to complete the cycle.
Yeah, I batted for the Oreo cycle finally.
Oh, I was going with like Inheritance or Stormlight Archive or some kind of feature cycle. But
yeah.
You go, better transition back to baseball later. Yeah.
The master has become the teacher has become the master, and now I'm the student or whatever.
Well, Michael let it off. I had the Empire Strikes Back moment of surprising you in the middle. Now you Jedi us here.
Bring
at the
it
end.
home.
Yeah, I have to burn Darth Vader's corpse.
The Star Wars cycle.
I did finally. Since we talked about this last, I had ordered those Oreo, those Coca-Cola
Cokes.
Oreos. Yeah. Sorry, not the Oreo Coca-Colas. There we go.
There you go.
And they were just out of stock and didn't ship until like a couple days ago. And
all stores near me are out of stock of all of this stuff now.
Yep. So I didn't overpay or anything. I got them for very cheap, but it just took them a while to ship. So, but I did get them, and I tried one last night. I both poured it in a glass for you, Andy, and tried it out of a can.
All
right. Comparison.
I don't know that changed much about it for me. I mean, yes, it was noticeably less carbonated.
Carbonated, yeah. Did you?
That didn't bother me in the first place. So,
did you use a mule glass like I expected you to? Because if you don't have the copper flavor, I'm just kidding, man.
No, I definitely did not. It was plastic. So,
oh, that's the problem. You got to go with glass. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. The one thing that it was good at pouring it in the glass was it made it much easier to smell it, I will say.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From the can, I think it was just tasted like a, perfectly cromulent Coke with some extra sweetness. And like, my wife compared the flavor to root beer.
Yeah, a little bit. Like root beer has a little bit of cream flavor to it sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially like an A&W.
Yeah. And she's not a big root beer person. So it was a negative comparison for her.
Oh, that's a bummer.
But I liked it fine. Again, like I'm never going to go out and buy this again, but it was like, okay.
Yeah, sure. Cromulent, like you said.
Yeah.
I knew that one.
Well done. English major coming through. Well done. And then you had mentioned you made some kind of a mixed drink with it.
Oh, how was it out of the glass though? You didn't.
Oh, sorry. Really the only difference in taste that I got from the glass was that it was much easier to smell it. I could smell the Oreo better in the glass than the can.
So it didn't taste like a cream soda mixed Coke to you?
Yeah, I didn't really get that. I definitely got the like more chocolatey Oreo-y kind of flavor from the taste, but again, it was like it was like a Coca-Cola with like some stuff in it. Yeah.
So my backup plan for using the rest of that 6-pack was to make a mixed drink out of it, which you can describe and tell me if it was worthwhile.
So I took one of those and I split the can in half and we poured some Kahlua in there with ice. And it was pretty good. I don't know. Again, like, yeah, sure. I'll say it is a more palatable way to drink it than just drinking it straight, I think.
Okay. So improvement, but not worthwhile in terms of a cocktail.
Look, I can make better cocktails.
Sure, of course.
Well,
yeah,
sure.
But it's supposed to be quick, right? Mixing Kahlua with anything is just like, I'm making a quick thing.
Splash, splash, done. Right? Like,
yeah. Why do you think White Russians are so good?
There's 3 ingredients in a White Russian, right? That's more complicated.
It's all splash, 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 though.
Yeah, that's true. But I got to do something with the rest of these, so I'll probably have some more of those. Sure, why not?
So my question, JJ, for you is: do you think you would have enjoyed it more if it were? I think you're a Diet Coke drinker, right?
I am usually, yeah.
If it had been a Diet Coke instead of a Coke Zero, do you think it would have changed your appreciation of it?
Are we hating on Stevia again, Michael? Come on.
No, I'm asking if the way he enjoys Coke most frequently would have lended itself better to the Oreo experience. Same question I asked you.
I do drink a Coke Zero now and again, infrequently, but I do. Would I have liked it more as a Diet Coke flavor? I don't know.
Diet Coke has that bitterness.
Yeah, it's different enough that I don't know that it would taste good with the Oreo stuff in it. Actually, like extra sweetened Diet Coke might actually be kind of gross.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Diet Coke to me is tonic-like in its bitterness. It's got a bite that you want that Zero and regular don't have.
The thing that originally got me into drinking Diet Coke over regular was using it as a mixer with rum and lime. And that is like a very good drink.
Yeah. Well, because you get sweetness from rum, so you don't need it from the Coke.
Yeah, and it's not extra sweet. Like if you used a regular Coke, it would be too sweet from the rum, right?
I mean, a lot of people don't think that was too sweet. I'm not one of them, but
I mean, I am, in my old man age now. I'm drinking spirit forward cocktails more frequently, so I'm looking for less sweet in general, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, a worthwhile experience. I'm gonna drink the rest of these and not be sad about it, right? Like that's the, but again, like limited time flavor. I assume they're not gonna like keep these around forever. I'm not going back and buying another 6-pack or whatever.
I believe they said it was limited, but those Oreos could stick around.
Yeah, the cookies, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would eat more of the cookies if I could find like a full set of them. But again, like I don't eat Oreos that frequently anyway, so it's like
I don't either. So I'd have no I guess we shouldn't put our foot on the scale of something we don't partake in all the time. Do demos put the foot on the scale of anything? Do they tell people whether or not they should continue on a path, or do people just ignore demos nowadays and say it's just advertising?
People should play demos because I feel like they give you a really good sense of games, and then you don't have to buy them if you don't like it.
But do the people that make the games care about the demos overall these days? I think I'm not talking about indie people when I say this. I think indie devs are dependent on demos in a way that is extremely obvious to make their game more widely known, and also to make it
get some
good
buzz.
Good for people to say like, oh, this developer is responding and changing things and doing things like, early access and demos and all those things keep games alive until they're out in the world and on Game Pass and whatever, where people can make their money. But do AAAs care about demos anymore, or are they just ads?
I think it depends on how they crafted the demo. And I brought this up a little bit when I talked about Visions of Mana, but that was a game where it felt like they cared about the demo and the experience that people had, because they very deliberately selected a segment of the game that wasn't right at the beginning for you to play through and get a feel for all the systems and how the game really worked. And I think that it stood kind of in contrast to a lot of demos where it feels like developers will just put out the first hour of the game and then just put a stop in the code that keeps you from going any further. And I get the idea that then they can, on launch day, they remove the stop and your progress just carries over. But it also, there's a part of it that just feels a little bit lazy.
Yeah, so this is definitely the latter. However, I do think they used this demo to good effect. Notably because when this demo came out, the performance was kind of crap, and it was out like a month or so before the release of the game. I believe the game is released now, or it's coming out later this week.
Mm-hmm.
And they have patched the demo multiple times, improving the performance and notably like making it actually playable on a Steam Deck, which it wasn't when it released.
Yay!
Well, that's good to see.
And it went from like, Steam Deck nothing to Steam Deck playable. It's not verified, which is like the next step up, right? It's like the, their little like, Andy's aware of how this grid works, right? It's like, there's just like no check mark, and then you get the check mark like it plays, and then you get the further check mark like it plays, and it's like has specific configs and is good or whatever.
Yeah, there's like a yellow also in there, which is like we've confirmed some functions, but not all functions have been confirmed by the developer.
So it was upgraded from question mark to playable, which is great. During the course of this demo.
Okay.
And to be clear, the demo is like 50 something gigs, which then makes you think, okay, this is just the full game.
That's the game. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just not unlocked.
Right. And it definitely does do the thing like Michael said, where they kind of just cut you off at a certain point. But this is an RPG, and it's like 8 hours into the game they cut you off. So it's like a significant amount of content. You play what amounts to the prologue, effectively.
Is it a JRPG?
It is from a J studio, yeah.
Okay, so you get 1 hour's worth of story after 8 hours.
No, there's quite a bit of story all up front here. I guess I should say the name of the game, which I haven't technically done yet.
You have not?
It is Metaphor ReFantazio.
Metaphor ReFantazio?
There's a JRPG name for you.
Yeah, man, sure is.
I can't, yeah. With an F, Fantasio?
Fantasio.
Z.
Oh,
wow! They really threw me for a loop on marking this one down.
Fantasio.
So it's a ReFantazio. So is this a remake of something?
No, this is a new game.
Okay.
It is from Atlas or Altless, the developers.
Atlas.
the developers of Persona and
Yep.
the Shin Megami Tensei games.
Arguably one of the best J's when it comes
It-
to making games like
those
this.
those games are big hot, and this is their most recent one of those. But this is a medieval setting.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like all the way in now.
There is no high school, so they can't get you can't get mad about that. Maybe
if I land a job tilling some sort of field and then fishing afterwards, I think this is going to be the end of me.
no tilling or fishing as of yet, but I can't confirm or deny if that exists.
Well,
yet.
it's got to be fishing. There's no chance there's not fishing.
Haven't seen anything fishing like. I'll tell you, the game is. If you said like, how do you know if a game has style? You would just point to this game.
I mean, this girl's walking around in a medieval dungeon with cat ears. So,
well, yeah, that's like her race has cat ears. That's just how she is.
Yeah, but she's walking around with they've got the moon from Zelda in this game too.
Oh yeah, that is in this for sure.
All right.
I guess I don't know where we want to start on this. I think the thing that's interesting about this compared with a lot of the Persona and the Shin Megami Tensei games, those games have a lot of like collecting monsters and devils and demons and things like that, and then switching between them, using their different powers to attack monsters, right?
Mm-hmm.
This game kind of swaps that for what sort of amounts to a job system.
Whoa, cool. Even better.
So, the monsters, quote unquote, that you would be collecting are different classes, and those classes level up and they have skills, and inheritance between the classes, and you get a taste for some of that in the demo. You can level the classes up to a certain point. There are advanced classes where, like, once you get a class to a certain level, you unlock, more powerful versions of that class. They tell you about all this. You don't see all of it in the demo.
There's also some sort of popularity system.
We'll get there when we talk about the story.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Michael, I see giant walking beast engines with platforms on top of them.
Andy, I saw 2 characters fishing.
Okay, good to know. Fishing confirmed.
It might have been a cutscene, but
Also
there might also be
cutscene.
fishing.
I like that there's a scene here in this trailer that everyone's just saying gab, 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 gab.
As you run through the towns, the like little NPCs talking have their own little
that feels very Alice.
Totally.
Yeah.
And if you run up to them, you'll see little text boxes pop up of things they're saying or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome. This looks great.
It really, I cannot explain all the ways it has style. Every menu, every character, like all have like very much a look.
This is from Atlas, which I don't know if it's also Hashino. Is that Hashino, the guy that does Persona?
It is made by one of the teams that made Persona, but
okay. So
I don't know which one.
Persona and Atlas love to make good menus, man. Style number one.
The menus are bonkers to the point of almost distraction, I feel.
I like that.
It sounds like when you're looking at it, if you just like leave hovered over something, the highlight that highlights over the the menu option you have selected has like little flecks of paint and stuff that like move around as as it's sitting there pulsing, highlighting your option or whatever. Just like there's just so, and again, seeing a picture doesn't even show you the half of it. You do need to see it in motion, for which the demo is nice because the demo is free. Just go download it now. Gosh, where do we want to go? So you're playing the prologue to the game, so it's essentially the the opening, all the tutorial stuff, all the setup. There's a prince to a kingdom who's been cursed. Your job is to go into the capital and kill the person who cursed him to free the curse. shocking, you get lost on your way. You have to,
Mm.
find your way into the city, join up with the city guard to meet your contact, and hopefully, carry out this mission, this assassination mission. And things obviously go off the rails because that's how a JRPG works.
That's how it works.
I've played Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah. They introduce a whole bunch of the systems as you go through. Like the tutorial on ramp is pretty good, and it is laid out, as part of you meeting some of your party characters, getting them to join you, awakening your powers, all this kind of stuff. Like the jobs in this game are essentially like awakened powers, and so when you start getting them, you automatically like gain access to skills that normal people don't have, which then makes your characters stronger and that kind of stuff. The classes, the jobs sometimes have skills that work between two classes. So if you have like two specific classes in a battle, you can use both of their turns to do like a extra powerful attack. This does have some of the like similar Atlas systems to like the Persona games, where like the press turn system, I think it's called, where if you hit an enemy's weakness, they get knocked down and you get an extra turn.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't take the enemy's turns away. It just gives you more actions, which is a change from some of the other games. Some of the other games, it would like literally stop their action and give you another action, right? So it's a little different. But you still get to do things, bonus turns are good, right? Obviously. So, so you can use that, like those synthesis skills, I think they call them. And they take like multiple action icons, but they're like super powerful, right? What else we got? So eventually you do make your way into the capital to carry out this assassination mission. And this is more or less the story that goes on during the demo. But, as of course, in the dramatic moment when the person is like jumping at the guy with the knife or whatever, the
demo over.
No. The ancient magic of the dead king activates one final time, declaring that there will be an election for the next ruler, right? Because the king is dead, the prince is cursed and presumed dead, and people are vying for who's going to be in control of the throne. And this, this
Zelda
moon, for lack of a better right? This like big castle with the king's face on it, hangs above the sky and basically says, whoever the city desires the most at the end of this period of time will become the next king, through my divine magic. And it says, all the people are protected, so you can't like go assassinate the most popular people or whatever.
Oh no!
It'll prevent you from doing that. And then things kick off from there, and then you get the Persona type systems where you have to figure out how you want to spend your daytime, how you want to level up your character's abilities. So you have like social stats and then battle stats, right? Separate. And this has been in the Persona games as well. And like your social stats gate the kind of activities that you can do. So, if you have enough wisdom, you can go into the church and pray and get certain kinds of bonuses. Or if you have enough, I forget what the other ones are, like diligence or whatever, you can go into the library and study to get different bonuses, right?
Okay.
And then by doing these different activities during the day, you either meet new people who will join you, which then usually unlock new classes, or you will, gain access to better items or shops or certain other kinds of bonuses, so that when you go into battle later, you have, more options available to you. And then it becomes a like calendar management game, right? Each day you can do one thing during the day and one thing during the night. And so you want to make sure you spend your time, min-maxing your time to some degree in order to level up all your companions and meet all the new people.
Simulator.
And totally. It's 100% like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of exciting.
And so you can go up to your friend and be like, hey, like your warrior friend that you meet in the intro, and be like, hey, let's hang out during this day. And now your bond level goes up to level 2 and he gets a new skill and his class levels up or whatever.
Okay. But you can't like lose levels probably like you could in a dating simulator.
I'm not in the past. Like, Persona 5 didn't work that way, and it had this.
I guess you eventually run out of time, so you can't level up everybody all the time, right?
Right. So there is usually a clock somewhere that's like, hey, on the 30th day of the month, you need to complete this by, and there's a calendar that you can look at, and it'll say like, hey, here's the time when time will run out, and you will lose the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you many warnings. There is no confusion.
It's not a land of confusion.
No. The min-maxy thing that it does kind of lead to in these games is you will either want to like beat the dungeon and get it out of the way as soon as possible or as late as possible. So you can, use the time between those two things, right? But unfortunately, the demo stops in the dungeon. Like you get to what would be a like boss door probably in a dungeon. And it's like, this is the end of the demo.
Shocker.
Yep.
So
it had to end somewhere that was inopportune.
It's going to pull you in. Yeah.
Yeah. They give you exactly 3 days of calendar time, at the last thing that you can do in the demo. And you can see like the whole city, go around, do a whole bunch of activities. It's like a crazy variety of stuff. So I assume that you will be in that city for like a very long period of time.
So it sounds, JJ, like you're in.
Yeah, I'm super in. The question is going to be like,
full price is going to be like $70, man.
It is going to be a $70 game, most likely. I'm not rushing to go buy it because I still haven't finished my latest Trails game. So
yeah, it's 70.
And I've got Echoes of Wisdom coming.
It's already on pre-sale on Steam.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a game I will definitely at some point in the future go, okay, it's on sale for 40, 38, whatever, and that's my marker or something,
Yeah, the Atlas games do tend to go on sale eventually, but it might be a while.
Yeah, but this guy's got 2 different colored eyes, man. How can I not be in? Yeah,
the main character has different colored eyes, and that's all explained, like all the different races in this fantasy world and stuff. There is also like some kind of very strange hinted at like real world meta layer in this game. Like when you start the game and you create your character, you pick a name, but it's not the name that's used for the main character. It's like pick your name, and then you make the name for the main character after that. It shows you the main character, and it's like pick this guy's name. And there's like some hints that like stuff is going on outside of the fantasy world that you're in.
I love it.
But of course, it's the demo. They don't tell you anything about that.
It's gonna be what's the game? Dot Hack. We're gonna give Dot Hack. It's a secret sequel.
I don't know, man. Like, there's definitely something going on for sure, though. Like there is. So yeah, I think it's cool. I'm interested in going through it. And bonus if we wait, maybe they'll fix the performance up a little better and stuff too. So.
Well, I think a lot of people really have to consider the mobile PC market these days between the Steam Deck and the Ally and, the PS5 and the Xbox all being kind of the same thing. They just need to broaden and make sure it all works everywhere. So I think we're good. I don't know. With Halo now moving over to Unreal and a lot of these other people using Unreal, it's going to get easier, but.
Yeah, this is still, Atlas's own kind of thing, so there is still that worry. But yeah, like I said, it runs decent on my computer. Again, our computers are, so I assume it would run well on your guys's as well. But, ours are relatively beefy.
Okay.
But, it supports, hey, if you want to turn the frame rate all the way up to like, 140 or whatever and render scale 200% or whatever, you can 4K, you can make it chug a bit if you want. Yeah, it's been cool.
Excellent. What's going on in Horizon, Michael?
So they announced at the PlayStation State of Play that they just had a couple of weeks back that Horizon Zero Dawn was also getting was getting a remastered version. And as part of the announcement, they said that if you owned a copy on PlayStation, that you would be able to buy the remastered version for only $10 instead of the full price of the remastered collection game.
Did they clarify it? Does that have to be a PS5 version, and does it have to be digital?
I do not know. But what they did clarify is that same discount is coming to Steam.
Mm.
So
Wow.
with the caveat that
Yes.
this
Okay,
new
you've seen it.
So I did hear about this. I didn't realize this was related to what you were saying.
Yeah.
The caveat is the new version, it has a PSN login and is now not available in all the countries the previous one was.
Right. So there's a catch to it.
And the old one is now no longer for sale.
Yeah, because they want people to buy the new one.
Gotcha. Huh.
So, I mean, you think it's like not that bad, right? And yes, obviously the PSN logins cover most of the countries. It's like 100 something, but that's still over 100 countries that used to be covered because Steam operates in like almost every damn country on the planet. And previously the game was sold there. Now you can't get the new one. Like, that sucks.
Yeah, growing pains.
Just to be clear, this was the same problem that Helldivers and
Yep.
some of these other PlayStation account locked games have.
They know this though. It's not a new problem. So they're going into it knowing this just gonna unfortunately make it unavailable, and they can't do anything about it, or they won't do anything about it.
I feel like they won't spend the money to do anything about it.
Well, I mean, it's an anti-piracy thing, right? They don't.
Yeah,
they're doing it for piracy reasons, and they're not gonna back down on it for everybody.
I mean, not having the game for sale legally in a country is not a piracy thing.
Well, the why you have to log in is a piracy thing, right?
Sure. I don't think that is or at least the thing I've seen that's not the number one problem. The number one problem is it's just like, hey, it's not for sale in my country.
But it's not for sale in the country because it's not allowed in the country because it uses PlayStation Network, which is not allowed in the country, right?
The PlayStation Network isn't in the country. That's not the country's fault. That's PlayStation's fault.
Oh, I thought when we discussed this before, maybe my memory is just fuzzy on the whole situation, but we had discussed this when Helldivers had this problem, and that a lot of countries where PlayStation Network is because it's either not allowed or they've refused to do business in that country.
Yeah, but that's a choice that Sony has made to not do business in the country, right? They could do business in the country, but they're choosing not to.
I don't know if that's true because I don't know which countries exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the full list either, but like, I can't imagine if a company, a multinational company comes to a government and is like, may we do business in your country? The government would be like, no, right? I can't imagine that's what's happening.
Yeah, I would wonder what countries those are, and are other gaming networks active in those countries? Like, is Xbox active in that country?
Steam is.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
Steam is.
I'd be curious to know, JJ. I don't know if you have seen anything one way or another on it. Do you know if the original version is still on sale in Steam in those countries where you can't sign into PSN, or did they just pull it all together?
I do not know,
because it was available on Steam everywhere, right? And you would hope that they would say, okay, we're only pulling it in those countries where we're releasing the remaster.
So, I'm looking at a map that covers, this was a map from back in Helldivers, right? So who knows if it's exactly up to date.
You have like 121 countries on your map?
I can't count because it's just a picture of the world.
There's a list. I have a list in front of me. It says 121, but the picture of the world is 90% of Africa.
Right. Basically none of, like, only a couple of countries in the Middle East.
Yeah.
A bunch of countries missing in Southeast Asia. Greenland for some reason.
Oh, Greenland is not on this map that I see. So maybe they fixed that.
Yes, again, like, I don't know, right? Like, some of the countries in the, not Israel, but other countries in the Middle East are not included. A bunch of the, like, the Stan countries down over, next to below Russia and above India.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Asian countries south of China.
Right. So, like, again, these are not, North Korea. These are not maybe necessarily, and then like a group of countries on the top right of South America. But like not like these are the most wealthy countries or like the hugest countries, but like there are people there who play games. Like, again,
Yeah.
you can't say these are all dictatorships or like weird, crazy countries. Like all of Africa, like there are a lot of people that live in Africa.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Bahamas, you can't
The
play
Philippines
games in the
are
Bahamas.
the Philippines are not allowed for some reason.
Yeah.
So again,
Some of this
puzzling
is
decision
weird.
there.
Tonga. Why not Tonga? Yeah. What's Tonga got?
I don't want to make this about Sony's choices here, but it is strange that they would do it that way. And
I understand the focus on moving things to the networks because that's the only thing they've got left in terms of this fight where they're putting all these games out and everywhere is to try and get people activated on their network so they can sell them games and other things like that, right?
yeah, and I mean,
and it does
I get it, right? Like, but it is confusing if your goal is to spread as wide as possible to not, make that effort.
not expand your network so that you can prevent the piracy, right? Like
Yeah,
if
I mean,
people have it available, then
sell your PS5s in Africa, right? Like,
yeah.
And doesn't it feel a little bit like it's going to have the opposite effect of what they intend? Like if someone in one of those countries really wants to play this game, what's their option?
Pirate it. Yeah.
Or they VPN into
the VPN,
right?
Australia or wherever and download it and play it from there. But yeah, I mean, Andy's more likely right. They're going to pirate it.
Yeah. I get what the thinking is because it's the only real anti-piracy measure that works. It quote unquote works. Is ease of access, and that's the only playbook really right now. So
speaking of playbooks, Andy,
do I need to open up my playbook and find out what players to drop?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. It's time to rant about football. Rantasy Football is here. Michael, as the leading loser this week, how do you feel?
Oh, ouch. No, I've got a foot on either side of the fence this week. So I won one of my leagues, I lost one of my leagues, and it basically both of them came down to the exact same play. The long touchdown to Rashid in the Saints-Chiefs game on Monday night.
Oof.
I had him in one league, I played against him in the other, so, the fantasy gods give it, the fantasy gods take it away. But I'm 4-1 in one of my leagues, so I can't complain about that. Tied for first place.
There you go.
I wish I could say that about any of my leagues.
Oh, I can.
Have you been cut though, JJ? Are you still above the line?
I was above the line this week. There were two teams that scored in the 70s this week in that league, and the margin was 0.2 for the team that got cut. The team above them was like 77.23, and the other one was 77.0 whatever.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. The difference was the person who got cut had the Chiefs kicker. He missed a 50-yard field goal. If he'd have made that, he would have been fine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the other guy had Kamara. So if Kamara had done a bit more in that game too, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
So, it was very close. The next team above that was like at 100 something. And then I was above that one by like 5 or 10 points. I was in like the 110 that week. The best scoring teams in this league have been putting up 120 points a week. So, yikes. Gonna have to. So very funny to find the person who got cut this week picked up Josh Allen after the team that had him before got cut.
Oh, okay. Ooh. So you need to avoid Josh Allen. It sounds like
I'm not rushing to pick up Josh Allen.
No, after he got his bell rung in that game.
Yeah, he got. No. But he was fine. He went back and played again, Michael. He definitely didn't have a concussion live on TV, and then they just send it back out. Definitely.
Yeah, he passed the protocol, right?
They walked into the tent, walked back out of the tent, and he was good. The guy on the sideline trying to give him smelling salts, like it was a whole thing.
Yeah. There were definitely a couple of passes later in the game where he looked like he was seeing double of some of his receivers.
Oh, he was there, not there, huh? Oops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, bad sign that he's been cut twice. So I think that's going to be a stay away in that league. And the rest of his team is kind of like, I don't know. I'm not sure if they're upgrades. Maybe they'd be upgrades for some of my bench players.
Yeah. I'm currently in first after a couple close games, and my matchup this week is against someone who scored 143 points last week.
It's a lot of points.
I've been managing a solid 110 to 125 most weeks. I don't think I've been under 100 at all this season so far. But I've got some roster issues here, guys. We've got a little bit of a downward spiral in terms of the players who were good at the beginning of the year. The Jordan Masons, the Devin Achans, the Cooper Kupps, the guys who were reliably getting okay points, the Jerry Judys, the Chris Olaves, the Bijan Robinsons. They're all been trending downward.
Where have they gone?
Every single one is trending downward.
I feel some of those people have different. I feel good times might still be ahead for some of those people, but not others.
Yeah, well, I mean, so like Jordan Mason, probably okay if his team can get back a little bit of a, I don't know what you'd call it, momentum without McCaffrey, so people don't just key in on the fact that, maybe their team isn't as dynamic without McCaffrey.
I mean,
clamp down on Mason.
Their issue is they have been thrown injured. Like they got a ton of pass yards this last game, right?
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, they did. So. Then you got, if we're on the running back side, Bijan Robinson not looking so good. I don't really know what's going on there.
Tough one for the Falcons. I don't know what you do with that team because he's too good to drop. But the Falcons are going to constantly be in negative game script, and so not running it.
Speaking of constant negative game script, Devin Achans injured on a bye week and still has to come back to a team that has no way to move the ball other than Devin Achans and Raheem Mostert.
It sounds to me, again, like, listening to podcasts and out there, it sounds like Tua will probably come back after the bye, people think.
Oh,
and
too soon.
That then gives you hope that he will be fantasy relevant again.
Yeah.
But you can't play him now. Like you would not be starting him. And really, like almost any Miami player.
Derek Carr's out for a while, so Chris Olave.
Yeah,
no value. That.
Yeah, that's really tough. I don't know what you do with him. Who's their backup?
Jake Hayner.
Okay, yeah, Lobby's toast.
So Kamara's value maybe went up a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's going to be tougher sledding for him because defenses will key on him.
Yeah. So now it's like I can't drop any of these people. But got to make some room for some replacements. I don't know, dude.
I think you can drop at least Judy. I don't think the points are coming back. Deshaun Watson looks horrid.
Yeah. Well, then there's also, let's see how Calvin Ridley does after the bye here. If he's terrible one more week, he can get dropped too.
Yeah, I already dropped him. I don't think you're losing anything there.
Yeah. And then there's the problem of Dontavian Wicks, yes or no? Was he a flash in the pan?
Yeah, I don't know what to say about him either, because I agree with you. He bit me bad this week. But I guess it depends on if who was the other guy stays out, right? Who's the other tight
Dobbs?
end? Yeah, if Dobbs is suspended, you assume he's coming back. But the other tight end they have, right? Don't they have a second tight end that was supposed to be good? That's
Christian Watson?
That's the other wide receiver.
That's
Musgrave?
No, that's a Musgrave? Yeah, Luke Musgrave. But Luke Musgrave's been back a week, and Kraft still got 25 points last week, who I now can't drop even though I have Dallas Goedert.
You can start one in your flex, maybe? I don't know. Do they let you?
Good question. No. Yes. I could start one in my flex. Excellent news there.
One of those people is certainly better than Jerry Jeudy, so I wouldn't be putting him in the flex.
Well, currently I've got Derrick Henry, Jordan Mason, and then Bijan Robinson was in the flex, but maybe Bijan's hitting the bench along with David Aitken for a little while.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy was doing okay. 11 points, 12 points, 8 points, 13 points. That's, decent wide receiver too when your Derrick Henry and your Jordan Mason and your Bijan Robinson are working.
Cleveland is so terrible though, dude.
Well, was it just the internet that made it look really bad, or was Deshaun Watson actually that bad?
He's bad. He's like, they should bench him bad. By the way, Jeudy got 2 points last week.
No, I know that. At least they're better off than the Jets.
That they are.
Yeah. So I got to make some room here, try and make some moves. I don't think I'm picking up your Leggett guy from Carolina after last week there, Michael.
Yeah, that's fair.
But, Keon Coleman, Alan Lazard, both of them got my eye pretty quickly. Juju Smith-Schuster looked good. Josh Downs looked good.
If the Chiefs keep feeding Schuster, he feels like he might be playable, right? He would pick up the some of those Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice out for the season, right? So if you got him, he's done. But if they keep using Juju the way they were, like that would be fantasy relevant for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to be making room for some receivers, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's time to say Calvin Ridley's washed. Not because of him, but because of his team.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to go to where the points are, and they don't seem to be on Tennessee right now. Right. Unfortunate problem with fantasy football is good at fantasy does not translate to good at NFL, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's why you can't pick up Josh Carty, Michael. Like his team does not allow him to score points.
Yeah, at this point they need to get healthy again before he's a good play.
Well, it'll be an interesting week trying to keep myself atop the top. And
yeah, bye weeks are here now again, so I don't know who's on bye this week.
Rams, Miami,
Minnesota.
Oh wow, some big point guys in Minnesota, so that'll be big losses there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I have the top team in one of my leagues, but he's got both Jefferson and Williams. Jefferson, Williams, and Addison all on bye. So
the Chiefs are on bye also.
Yep.
They also changed something in our league, apparently, without telling anyone. I just moved Cooper Kupp to my IR spot.
Oh, there you go. That'll help.
Again, I think as soon as they have been ruled out, you are allowed to keep them in the IR slot. So Cooper Kupp is
it was not available last week when we tried. Remember, we tried live.
Yeah, this is how it's worked in my league. I don't know.
Interesting.
Because
so I wonder
I've had him in my IR spot for weeks at this point.
I was not able to move him, so that opens up a spot. That's excellent news. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's where he should be because he should be on IR if the Rams weren't so screwed by IR rules.
Well, it's interesting that that doesn't screw over the fantasy IR rules, because it's like unless they're IR designated, you would think they don't fit. But we tried last week and he would not go onto IR, so I wonder what changed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Excellent news. More players I can pick up. Hooray. All right. Well, if people have suggestions for who JJ should pick up for his cut team, Michael?
They should send those to podcast at weweregamers.com. Tell them how much you should spend.
rant about your own fantasy leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you send us fantasy league stuff, we'll probably read it. Just saying.
My waiver league budget is starting to get low. I'm down to like 40 something. I got to conserve for the end.
Oh no.
Pinch those pennies.
Oh no.
Yeah. The league is down to like, is it 11 teams this week or 10? So it's like, it's almost down to a normal size league.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not having to scrape the barrel of like, who's a third string someone that's going to play.
Yeah, so now it starts to just be a murderer's row every week.
Well, and like now you can't miss, right? Like the points are like, you can't have an 80-point game. You need to be having 100+ point games every week for sure.
Yeah.